Hi, and welcome back to Social Studies with Miss Wardell. So, today we're talking about the Southeast North American Indians. So, this is a different part of the region, right, that we are talking about. We also are talking about, so now we're going to talk about their location and climate. So, their location says that the Southeast includes a present-day southern United States, including the southern end of the Appalachian Mountains. So now we've traveled from up north and all the way down, and this would be in the region where you would find Tennessee, right? Most American Indians in the Southeast lived in the Piedmont region. The Piedmont is the area between the Atlantic coast and the Appalachian Mountains. The Piedmont is rolling hills, forests, many rivers, and very fertile soil. The thing that makes it really fertile is that really special river that runs all the way down, called that mighty Mississippi, right? The climate in the Southeast is warm and humid because of its closeness to the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean. So here is the Gulf of Mexico. Here is the Atlantic. I'm on page 89, and we're going to be working on page 90 today, but I kind of wanted to go over like the last time. So this is the Atlantic Ocean, and then again, you do have the Mississippi that kind of goes it just sort of kind of snakes all the way down through here. So you've got water on either side. It's pretty, that's what makes it really humid and that fertile soil. Let's see. It has 4 seasons. Summer is very hot, but cooler in the mountains. Winters are mild, rarely dipping below freezing. Who lived in the Southeast? The Cherokee, the Yuki, and the Chickasaw are all Southeast Indian tribes who were in the Tennessee area. One of my favorite things to do is normally when we would have a field trip, you'd go over to the Tennessee Museum in, what is it called? In Townsend, and it's the Heritage Museum for Tennessee, and they have all sorts of things to do with the American Indians, and you get to you could see how they found arrowheads or how they played games and all sorts of fun things. So it is really interesting. So American Indians in the Southeast were also known as the Eastern Woodland Indians. Why? Well, again, they lived in eastern North America and in an area with many forests, right? Many forests. That's what makes us think about the woodlands. Customs. So here are some food customs. American Indians in the Southeast lived in the environment similar to the American Indians in the Northeast. So it's very, very similar. As a result, both groups developed similar lifestyles. Southeast American Indians grew the corn, beans, and squash. They also hunted, fished, and gathered berries and nuts. So this part's a little different. They gathered berries and nuts with those mountains so close. Clothing customs. The Southeast American Indians wore clothing similar to the Northeast American Indians too. They made most of their clothing from deer skin. Remember, it was soft, and you could wear it in the summer because it was light. Men wore deerskin leather breechcloths and leggings, and women wore leather dresses or skirts with tunics. Men and women wore moccasins. Here they show a picture of moccasins. They didn't the last time, so that's pretty interesting what that looks like. They both wore thicker animal hides for cloaks in the winter, and Southeast American Indians used feathers and paint to decorate their clothing. So where the Northeast would use paint and shells. This time they used feathers and paint. Feathers and paint to decorate their clothing, right? So pretty neat. So now looking back on page 90, I'm at the top of page 90. So here we're going to talk about their housing, okay? It says American Indians in the Southeast lived in permanent villages. Okay. However, they had many different style shelters. Some tribes even had different winter and summer houses. The Chickasaw and Cherokee in Tennessee had winter and summer houses. That's kind of interesting. A winter house were tightly sealed to stay warm. Circular houses often had cone-shaped thatch roofs with a smoke hole in the center. Thatch roofs did a good job of keeping water out. Makes sense because it would rain more, there was snow, would get wet when it thawed to keep water out. A summer house were often made with a building style known as wattle and dawn. Wood poles formed a frame that was covered with a woven siding of bark, branches, and twigs, and this framework, called the wattle, was covered with a sticky mixture of mud and clay. They called the dod. Wattle and daub homes were popular with American Indians in East Tennessee, and longhouses were also built in the Southeast. So they have lots of different ones. Alright? They even had the summer and the winter houses. Again, here we go. We're looking at this. So I know that the climate that it's talking about was on page 89. The shelter they talked about was on page 89. Clothing that you read yesterday on page 89, and the shelter today was on page 90. Okay, so we've done this before. We're going to go back and look at their climate, and we're going to see exactly what their climate looked like in the North American, or the Southeast North American Indians, right? So that's going to be kind of neat. So I see where it talks about climate, and I'm going to highlight this part again because it's really important. But again, they also have 4 seasons, but they have what's a little different is they have summers that are very hot. So I'm going to put they have 4 seasons with very hot summers. Right. Except, now this was the only thing, is that it did say summers were very hot, but cooler in the mountains. So I might even put that. So 4 seasons with very hot summer, but cooler in the mountains. Right? They also had mild winters. That, remember, it said mild winters, rarely dipping below freezing. So it can get below freezing, but rarely. Right? So rarely getting below freezing. And then with natural resources, so again, I think it's safe to say that they use things like water, trees, plants. This one had berries, nuts. They use things like fish. They hunted. I also think back to like when they were talking about their houses. So that said that they use things like mud and clay. Sometimes we don't think of that, but that's a natural resource. Mud and clay, right? And they also planted corn, beans, and squash. So they did also do that. With shelter, theirs is a little different. You know, with the Northeast, we just said they had the wigwams and then they had longhouses. They have different ones, right? They had summer and winter houses. Remember, these summer houses had thatch roofs. And remember, those thatch roofs, they were good at keeping water out. Right? So good at keeping water out. So which kept out water. Then they had, I guess I should have put that for winter houses. I'm sorry. Should have put that for winter houses. Just thought of that. You already fixed yours. Good on you. So winter houses had those thatched roofs which kept out water. Then they had summer houses. So we'll put summer houses next. And these summer houses, they were made of wood and clay. And mud. Right? And these were really to help to keep it cooler. Or to keep out heat. Because they had lots of hot summers. Remember? Again, I'm going to let you do the clothing section. I think that you did a great job last time. And remember that I've included that, boy, I can't think of it. A hint of where to find it at, okay? All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.